Hey guys, it's Nemo and welcome to today's video. Today we'll be featuring the USSR Budyonny Tier 6, well, I guess light cruiser. It's got 152mm guns. It's such a good ship. And even for Tier 6 it can handle its high tier matchmaking, which is Tier 8, quite well. As I said, I really enjoy this ship. I like it a lot. One downside at the moment, I have a 12-point captain, it's my dasher captain, is that you have to trade off between IFHE or concealment first. Now, there is a nerf coming to IFHE for light cruisers, so we won't go into too much about the IFHE. Just at the moment, you do need it to do really good penetration damage. When the nerf comes in and affects things, I'll make a commentary about that and see how our ships are doing after that. So, what's good about the Budyonny? Well, the Budyonny has relatively good speed. As you can see here, I'm straight line speeding up at over 36 knots. Now this is without any speed flag. So that's not bad, but that's only straight line speed, remember, so if you get into a turn you're going to lose a lot of that speed. It's not like the Royal Navy cruisers who hold their speed pretty well in a turn. But the main strength of the Budyonny is her guns. Now, she has 9 of these 152mm guns, which are pretty good. 16.6 kilometers base without a spotter plane. And they have quite a flat trajectory. Now the only problem is, and we might be able to see it here after this shot, no, not on this shot, they do lose a lot of velocity towards the end of their flight, which is relatively annoying. It means that you just got to give a little bit more lead, and every now and then in this battle you can see I can't hit a barn door with a machine gun, and it's a little bit annoying, but it's just something to get used to. Especially with the AP shells, I notice that they float off. See how they sort of floated there and then they dropped in on the citadel? So it's more just the end of the flight of your shells, which is a little bit annoying. So that's probably about all the Budyonny's strengths are, because her armor is weak. It's just 13mm of armor on the bow and stern, and what we'll do is we'll have a look at the armor plating scheme at the end of the battle. So even if you are angled really well, you can be overmatched by pretty much every single battleship at your tier and higher, because you do end up playing tier 8s. So what we have here is everybody's favorite map, the fault line. And unfortunately on the fault line, if you go into the middle, it's a death trap, isn't it, in the middle, and so no one really goes in there, and it's all down the flanks. It's either down the death alley, down the 9-10 line down there, or torpedo alley, or it's out here on the 1-2 line is where a lot of the battle happens. But it's not too bad with the Budyonny, because what you want to do is sort of angle back at range and just farm things. I mean, if a lot of my videos you have a look at, there's not that much damage on them, because I play DDs mainly, or the cruisers that I play, I usually play Royal Navy or American cruisers, and so they've all got a different role. If you want to do damage and the thing that you like to do the most is damage, then you need to be an open water cruiser or a battleship. So open water cruisers, which is what the Budyonny is, Russian, Japanese, French and German cruisers. If you like doing massive amounts of damage in a cruiser, those are the ones you sort of want to play. You can do it in the high tier American cruisers, lots of damage, bit of open water play, but because of the rate of fire of a lot of the guns, especially the 8-inch guns of the lower tier American cruisers, you don't really want to do that. And if you're going to go open water gunboating in a Royal Navy cruiser, then you're likely to be deleted in one shot. So these are the ships you want to play if you really want to do good damage. The other good thing about the Budyonny, as I mentioned before, is the range. Because you can fire at 16.6 kilometers with relatively good rail guns, a lot of ships like that Normandy down there won't even bother to try and fire at you. They'll try and hit something closer or something bigger that they can hit. If you just keep moving the ship around, they're going to have a lot of trouble to try and hit you. And as you can see, he's going for the other Budyonny on our team, who did play really well in this game as well. Now the spotter plane's good for the Budyonny as it increases the range to 19.9, which is almost, you may as well just say 20 kilometers pretty much. But and then that gets me all the time. A battleship, for starters, spamming his torpedoes from behind me. He's not even anywhere near the Normandy. You got to be careful doing that sort of reckless behaviour, because a lot of times teammates won't see that and they'll run into those and get torped, even though you might have just been launching off your 6-kilometre torpedoes at nothing. You can't underestimate what people do when they're sailing their ship. A lot of people will sail around like this, just in the iron sights, gun mode, periscope, targeting reticule, whatever you want to call it. They'll do that a lot. And because they do that, they miss things like torpedoes around them and a destroyer popping up at a couple of meters away from them and just wrecking them. So just got to be careful doing that. Right, so we want to keep pushing down now. Our team has really backed off Torpedo Alley over there. And as you can see, we're sort of using the islands. You can play the Budyonny as a very good island hugger in an American way. The only thing is, as you can see, I've got a lot of room between me and this island while I'm firing at the Normandy. And the reason is that if I was too close, my shells would hit that island, unlike the Americans where you can just sort of fire up and they come straight down. Now, the only thing that I would say you're better off playing open water, continuous manoeuvring while shooting with the Budyonny, is that if you do sit behind an island like that, because of that big gap I had between myself and the island, if there had have been a battleship with an aircraft, a spotting aircraft, he would have been able to fire those shots over the island and get me. And as I said, the Budyonny has very, very weak armour, so it would have been all over Red Rover. Now this battle is going okay. It's 5 ships to 4. We've both got our aircraft carriers. We've got 1 destroyer each. Our Farragut's actually doing really good down there, starting to cap. The one thing that I really like on these, especially the low tier games, where you have the standard map, which I don't like standard battles, but if you can get a destroyer down into the cap and start capping, as you can see, 3 of his team, the enemy team, is already running back. A lot of the enemy team, if you can start capping, will run back to try and protect it. It's almost like calling everyone for dinner and then they start running in. As soon as you put someone in the base, it's either they all come running back or no one moves at all. It's hilarious down at these low tiers. And I am pretty blessed with matchmaking in this game. It's a tier 5-6 battle, which is quite rare. Usually you play 7-8s a lot. I thought it's not as high damage as the video I did want to show you. The video I did wanted to show you had a lot more damage, 6 figures. But unfortunately, the push to talk on my Discord corrupted the sound file on the video, and I wasn't going to put that up for you. Listen to that all day. So the good thing about having these long range guns is that you can do exactly this. You stay at range, you play at range, you're less likely to be attacked by things such as the aircraft carrier there, because the Budyonny can get the defensive AA where my hydroacoustic consumable is. You can put the defensive AA there. Not very good. You're not going to shoot down many ships, but it will many aircraft, sorry, but it will panic the drop. which will mean that it's less likely for the enemy aircraft carrier to hit your ship, which is what you want. So we can help our Farragut out here from range, which is good. And he's done the smart thing anyway. He's abandoned the cap. A lot of destroyer players will try and stay in the cap while they get pressed extremely hard. And then I noticed that we start falling to pieces in the north. We've only got that New York up the top, and our aircraft carrier, our Bogue, is just sitting there. It's a pretty good spot. He can't really get hit by too much, although at the moment, the way that the enemy ships are pushing in the north, he will get cross-fired soon if he's spotted. And there is a DD up there as well. And then this, see, this is an example. Is it here I take this? Yeah, yep. The example of the weak armor of the Budyonny. That just absolutely pulverized through my deck armor, and I did get citadeled. I was lucky that it was only one and not anymore, and so it sort of made me back off a little bit. I tried to keep at range and burn this New York. And he's a nice slow battleship, the New York. He's got a lot of modules on his surface, so you can destroy them. You can knock them off the surface of the ship a lot, and that's why you can see a lot of those penetrations coming through that aren't doing any damage. Those are all hitting modules such as guns or secondary batteries or anti-aircraft modules. And then I typed there in the chat, we need to defend the base, because I can see that there's a battleship and a destroyer. Yes, we got an aircraft carrier and a battleship up there, but it's more important to keep your base alive than to cap theirs, especially when there's two of theirs heading up there, there's two of theirs down here, and we don't know where the aircraft carrier is at the moment. Their aircraft carrier could, finish off my friendly ships down here, and then that's a waste of ships, and we would lose the game by getting capped out. So the good thing at the moment is I'm still able to get, well, not many hits, but as you can see, more penetrations there on the New York, which is all no damage, and that's because, again, hitting off against his modules on his deck. He's firing at the battleship down here, which is really good, because then that's keeping our Budyonny and our Farragut alive. So the Mutsu here fires back, and what I want to do now is start getting shots on to the Fuso and go and protect our my friends up in the north. And the bad thing is, though, is that being on this map with that extremely open area in the middle, if I show myself too much, that Fuso will get me in one shot. So you just got to be careful of that sort of thing. A really good thing is to know the strengths and weaknesses of your own ship, but also know the strengths and weaknesses of the enemy ships. We have a player in our clan who he's one of our clan officers, actually, and he's just really good with numbers. If we ever need to know anything, what can be overmatched and what has what guns, what armor, we can ask him, so that's handy. But if you're playing the game solo, it's handy to know. Just go over your ship every now and then, and if you're playing the Budyonny, go and check out the armor scheme, and then have a look at the caliber of guns of ships you'll face and stuff like that. I know that not many people do, and that's fine. You just want to get in and play the game, and that's why people like me make these little tutorials for you guys to how to be effective in your ship. I mean, sometimes I can't even be effective in my own ship. So what I did there was I saw that Fuso was aiming his guns over towards me, and that sort of made me worried that he was going to hit me and take me out. So I didn't fire until I knew that his guns had turned, and you saw his guns turned away and they fired at something else behind us. So that was all. That was why I took the shot after that. So all my shots here were a bit of a calculated shot. I didn't want to get hit because I was sailing totally broadside, straight up the channel here. Broadside is the quickest way to the cap to help out. We did lose our New York in the north, and we are capping out, which is really good, but there is an aircraft carrier down there, so we've got to be careful of that. Now our other Budyonny, he played really well, and he's managed to, I don't know if he had high damage, but he did get 4 kills, which was pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't have the 4-goal haul badge in anymore now that the Ovechkin event is over. And at this point I'm just trying to get some fires on that Fuso. If I can get fires on the Fuso and get him to turn away from our aircraft carrier and our base, that's what what I want to do. You just want to try and annoy. The best thing about the Budyonny is annoying people. That's a real Russian cruiser thing. Until you get to the Moskva. The worst part about the Russian line is that it teaches you how to play the Moskva wrong. Yep. Yeah. The Moskva is very bow in, tanky, and can take a lot of punishment while it's remaining bowing. As soon as it turns broadside, it's a citadel for days. But the rest of the ships in the line, they have that open water style. They don't have the tankiness. They've got extremely thin armor. So you've got to be careful of what you do. You can't just YOLO in or try to bow tank something. You can get bounces every now and then. It might be a tier 5 ship that you bounce, but it's not going to be anything bigger. Like if you face off against a Warspite, for example, or a Queen Elizabeth, which have got quite big guns, yeah, that's the end of you. You will be finished, even if you are bowing. So the best thing is, as you saw at the beginning of the battle there, to angle away and just keep kiting. That's the best way to use the Budyonny. Anyway, 71,000 damage, tier 6 game, not too bad. As I said, my previous game was a lot better, but you get that. Alright. We got some missions out of the way, which is always nice. Now 8 fires isn't bad for something with IFHE. Now we finished in 4th there. The Farragut and the Budyonny did quite well. You know, the 1 and 2 there, they capped out, which is what you want, especially like the Farragut capped out. So let's have a look at our ship. She's a nice looking ship. I like the Budyonny, she looks nice. Alright. So as you can see, I've got 12 points in Dasher. We'll just take a quick look at the armor layout, and the 13mm of plating, 19mm of armor plating on the side with 115mm of Citadel armor belt. Now the Citadel does rise relatively high out of the water there, so try not to give broadside at all. You will get deleted. Destroyers that fire through your nose or cruisers that fire through your nose will just rip you for chunks of damage, so be careful with that. So we're always running premium consumables. That's what we always do. With the upgrades, we're going to go main armaments mod 1, because your turrets can get destroyed quite easily, so you want to be careful of that, and it'll help your torpedoes turn faster, though you're not going to use them all the time. Steering gears mod 1, because you're going to be facing away a lot. You don't want to get hit in the back and lose your gears. Aiming systems, so that we can get our guns on target better at that long ranges, and the steering gears mod 2 for the rudder shift time, because we're playing an open water cruiser. So with Dasher, or whatever captain you run, the first points we're going to run is our priority target, because it's really helpful to know how many ships are aiming at you while you're in a broadside turn. You can go with AR, that's a good one, or the other one I would run would be Expert Marksman for a little bit more turret traverse. Our 3-point skills will be a Demolition Expert, so we can get more fires from those long range, and then you can either run the Inertia Fuse High Explosive for that extra damage straight away, or the Concealment Expert would be good. So that's our first 10 points. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.